maybe this is because of COVID or something like that, but I think when you actually buy something, you want to find like what's special about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think we're seeing that more and more every day is like what makes this slightly more unique or different or elevated or exclusive or limited. And it goes back to like giving a kid a Pokemon card. It's that same emotional like reaction that's happening. And now we're taking merchandise and we're doing it with that. So, I think I'm happy to see it happening, right? Because it elevates what we put on every day. And you guys probably heard this. Our T-shirts are our personal billboards, like, right?
Yeah.
So, like, we're seeing I feel like we're seeing a shift in making more thoughtful, curated merchandise.
We live below the fold. We live underneath those incredible brands.
What is the vision? Right? So, like, there's a story, but then it's like, where are you trying to go? If it's compelling enough, then you start to get people to believe in it.
Okay, what do you think? You got a great intro?
You go.
Yeah? I mean, okay.
Do you guys argue about this every time?
No.
Usually it's in, but
I say usually like do a roll, do an intro.
We just dive right in.
I'm gonna give my best intro. Let's see how I do.
Yeah.
But we're really excited. We have an incredible guest today with us, Stephen Farrig.
Oh yeah, you're one for one.
All right,
you're one for
I
one.
messed that one up for sure.
Yeah, good.
From Campus Inc., also co-host of an incredible podcast. Actually, Carlo and I were talking about the recap episode that you guys did on the Print Hustlers podcast. Was incredible.
Where were you guys?
People book christenings and baptisms and all types of stuff actually on that day, and we found out like 2 weeks in advance. But Stephen, welcome. Thanks for coming by in real life, which is even better. I was starting to put the headphones
studio
on and everything. I'm like, wait a minute, where are we bringing him in? No, he's here.
We're all Chicago guys.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah, welcome to the show, man.
Where we'd like to start is just give us your background, and we like to take it back a little bit. Like our audience is not necessarily a shop. Very often is somebody who resells merchandise or is in the music industry. But one thing I think everybody has in common is they're business people.
Right.
So we would love to hear your story. If you want to take it as way back, there's no time restriction here. So,
Shoot.
Give us your background.
How do you land into this industry? Because no one goes into school like, I'm going to jump into screen printing. I'm going to jump into merch. There's always a story behind it. So,
I think it actually starts as like my dad was an entrepreneur, like small business, first generation, right? So like super conservative family. Sister's a doctor and a lawyer, and I was.
And where are they from?
Egypt.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like culture, right?
Yep.
You're gonna go to Illinois. You're gonna be an engineer, right? Your sisters did it right.
Yep.
But my dad was. I watched him be an entrepreneur, own like convenience stores, gas stations, those kind of things. And so I saw like the little grind that he was
doing. The Middle Eastern hustle.
The Middle Eastern hustle, baby.
I see that
immigrant hustle.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
My wife's family, they have a Middle Eastern hustle like I've never seen before.
Heck yeah.
It's unbelievable.
And so I grew up, going to Sam's Club, learning how to stock things, right? Like making bank deposits, all that. So I saw that firsthand. So I went off to school, and I realized like I'm not supposed to be an engineer. I fell in love with like sales and marketing. I actually took this job my first summer cold calling and painting houses.
Really?
So I would literally go up to Barrington and knock on doors.
The big houses.
Knock on doors and sell paint jobs. And probably my first year of college, I probably sold like $50,000-$60,000. Like I made good money.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was doing. And then I spent all my money my first week back at school. And then realized, oh shoot, I got to figure something out to make some more money.
Were you popping bottles, or you spent it all?
It was one of those companies that they take you to Cancun if you like hit the sales record.
Oh, yeah.
Like they make you feel like a king.
Yeah.
And so like, when you give a 19-year-old $10,000 after their summer, it goes pretty quick.
Go spend it. Yeah. I'm sure you learned a lot though from that. Those cold calling jobs.
Literally, I was cold calling, doing estimates, like painting houses. Like no one should have trusted me to paint their house.
Oh, you're actually doing the painting?
Oh
too?
yeah, we would do everything.
Oh wow.
Dude. Okay.
We're thinking like an affiliate.
No.
Affiliate marketing.
Grab the leads.
Knock on doors. Literally, knock on doors when it's snowing, right? Like pitch people. get deposits, go to the paint store, buy paint, ladders. Like,
Oh, wow.
it's a shit show.
That's straight. That's
Yeah.
straight hustle. Okay.
So did that my first year, spent all my money, and then I was in a fraternity, and everyone needed merch, and so I was like, I'll just do it. And so I ended up having like one St. Patrick's Day jersey go viral, and it was for a knockoff for like Brian Scalabrine.
Okay.
You know who that is?
Yeah.
And so like I sold a bunch of them. I think I just like did the first one at cost because I was like, I just want to take care of my friends.
Right.
And then next year I was like, let's do this a little bit better. And Shopify was $30 a share at the time.
Wow.
So this is like Shopify was brand new.
Really.
And did you buy Shopify?
I bought and I
Stock.
sold when I was 20, 21. So like stupid
Yeah.
mistakes.
Should have held on to that for
But
a
like
minute.
that Shopify was like brand new. And so I was finding like Google sites, storeenvy.com, Shopify. And so the next year I just like put up a bunch of designs and I just like let it ride. And I probably did $30,000-$40,000 in all pre-orders. And then
We love pre-orders.
we love pre-orders.
Love
Yeah.
those.
There was no like print on demand, none of that. And so I took that money, I went to a little tiny print shop, asked them to print my stuff, and they're like, "What the hell are you doing, kid?" I'm like, "Here, I'm prepaying for my order. Can
Was
you
that in
give-"
Champaign?
It was in
Oh, right
Champaign.
there.
That's Campus Ink.
Yeah. Okay.
And so that's how the story started. I was just this kid making these big pre-orders, and then the day I graduated, I bought into their business. So
You know, it's interesting. Back to that Shopify thing. You know, I always think about, you know, when I was a kid, I got my first Apple laptop. It was like the white one. You know, like I don't know if you remember the
Oh, yeah.
white one that you like open up.
It was
and
like 15
so,
pounds.
so thick. And I remember telling my grandpa, like, you should buy Apple stock. You know, like, and he was like, Apple?
like,
The hell is Apple? And like to think, all these years, this is like $1 trillion company. Do you see like that happening today in the same way? Like, are we? Is there Apple and Shopify just getting started right now today, like that?
A unicorn.
Well, I mean,
mean,
not
Shopify's-
even a trillionicorn. You know,
Yeah.
like are there? Is it different today, or was that a special time? Is my question.
I think it was a special time because like the internet didn't exist, or it
Yeah.
was just existing, right? So like,
Or maybe
It's hard to
Nvidia
predict.
or something like
yeah,
that.
like
Is that
Nvidia. I
kinda
don't
same
know.
thing?
Like,
yeah,
OpenAI is crazy.
Yeah.
When's that going to go public?
Right.
soon, soon.
That's crazy. I mean,
yeah.
I was just talking to Bruce yesterday, and I'm like, dude, this is bigger than Google search.
Yeah.
Like, this is insane.
I use it every day.
I'm not using search at all.
No.
I'm putting everything into chat. You know, like if whatever I want to know. I mean, how do you change a battery in an AirTag? I used to Google that, you know, but now I just go to right to chat.
I didn't know there was a battery inside.
There
of
is a
it.
battery, and you don't pry it open with a
What, you don't
with
use
a butter
pliers?
knife. No, you press it and
Ah.
turn it to the left.
I just learned something here on this podcast.
public service.
That there's
announcement.
actually a
announcement.
battery inside.
There
of
is a
an
battery
AirTag.
in an
Okay.
AirTag. It does not work off of uranium.
Huh. Interesting.
Wow. We all learned
I thought you
something
throw away the AirTag and just get a new one.
No, that's bad for the earth.
I appreciate you. That's I didn't know
There
that.
you
But
go.
like, think about this. Today, anyone can quickly design something, right? You can take an image, teach it to ChatGPT, recreate it, put it on a shirt, and start selling apparel. Like, you couldn't do that 10 years ago. You know,
Yeah.
like you couldn't do that. And so if today that's how easy it's getting, what's going to happen when like your kids become entrepreneurs and that's all they know how to do?
Right.
Yeah, how are you going to apply that? Have you thought about it at all, or
How are we using AI?
Yeah.
We're
How-
using it all the time.
how are you going to apply that to like your licensing side, or you know, even maybe first, can you talk about the
So
tell us about the
yeah.
licensing
So
side.
that was the backstory. So I bought into this little print shop. So I have a business partner who's twice my age, looks nothing like me. He's from like middle USA,
Champaign. Yep.
And so he helped me, showed me the ropes of the business, grew the company. College athletes can now make money. It's this whole new law, right? And so our business was really in the fraternities, the sororities, working with students. So we like took that same platform, we applied it to college licensing, and we basically took these athletes and attached licensing and like influencer to them, and then they can rev share on their stuff. So like our athletes make 20 to 30% on their merch, No differently than someone that goes viral on TikTok that wants to start a clothing line, right? So that's kind of where we're at today, and we support 7,000 athletes, like 65 schools, and so every single day we're getting hit up from an athlete saying like, I want to put my face on a shirt and do this. I want to start a clothing line and do this. I want to do this. I want to do that. So we quickly have to take all of their likeness, their images, and then be able to rip art super fast. So we use AI all the time.
Bringing that in.
Yeah.
How about on the finance side? With that many athletes, are you automating that finance side, or like that seem? I don't know if I lead the finance team here, so like every time there's a good damn idea, I'm like, how you gonna track that? How you gonna pay people out? Like that's got to be the most
There's a
complicated
challenge
part.
there.
Yeah. So we have to run licensing, compliance, taxes, basically for like 8,000 kids.
Oh, wow.
How?
That sounds fun. And
So
any automation built there?
So there's a really good quote. I think it's Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn. He said, like, do things that don't scale first, and then you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We're figuring it out right
Okay.
now.
Okay. So
Yeah.
We're building a lot of tech and tooling for it. So, like, one of the biggest problems we have is bank verification.
oh yeah.
A 19-year-old doesn't know the difference between a routing number and an account number.
Yeah. Also, and
True.
like the Stripes, the Braintrees, the Shopify payments of the world, they are like the mafia.
They're ready to shut you down.
I mean, like that has got to be complicated
So
as well.
we have to build in the Shopify framework, on the Stripe framework, and basically, think about this. Like when Uber came out, they had to figure out how to pay drivers.
Yep.
Right? We have to do the same thing with athletes. It's not like there's just hit a button and it's done. No, you actually have to build the framework and
Go
the
to
infrastructure.
payathletes.com.
Right.
Yeah.
Like there's an entire thing for it, right? And so I joke about routing number and account number, but when we're sending out 7,000 direct deposits a week,
wow.
we could get 300 back that are
Yeah.
like bad information.
Yeah.
Wow.
I do have some ideas. We'll talk offline on that.
Yeah.
Our team is working. We don't have that exact framework problem, but we have one similar, and I'll walk you through.
Yours is at scale there.
But
Yeah,
so
it's a lot.
now we've hit scale, or we launch at Ohio State with 200 athletes. Well, the next day, 200 that missed the first cut hit us up and goes, "We want on. When can our stores go live?" And you're like,
Got to build it.
Gotta build it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got to put that all together.
right? So we're hitting some of these scale points, but it's pushing us to engineer and innovate.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We're taking advantage of a niche market there for sure.
Yeah,
That's super niche.
there's a first mover to it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We're solving really, like we always say, the t-shirt comes last, right? There's lots of companies out there that can print t-shirts, but all the secret sauce in between, that's what makes us special.
Yeah.
And no one wants to take on those challenges, and so we're like, okay, we're gonna do it.
We'll do it.
Same way you guys do this,
Yeah.
right? Like we could never touch what you guys do.
Comes with all its challenges. Yeah. Especially when you start to scale.
The dragon.
Yeah, the dragon. I had a question about taking on investment. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So for us, that's something we've never done. We've never taken on any investment really for Culture Studio. But I don't know if you listened to the All In pod this morning.
I haven't listened to it yet.
Well,
but
this morning, so the
Chamath
guest, I love those guys. The guest is talking about his family built Belvedere vodka, and they asked him about. They sold it to is it LVMH? Is that
Bernard
Bernard?
Arnault.
And they asked him like how that was. Would he do it again? He didn't get too detailed, but he's like, in a nutshell, I would never do it again. It was a horrible.
Well, he's
thing.
notorious. I mean, he stole Chanel. He stole Louis Vuitton.
It wasn't a good.
Stole everything.
So it's to him, the guest was like, I should have never done that in hindsight. But of course, there's a lot of success stories as well.
Yeah, I mean, so there's kind of like two examples. You raise money for your business if you need it, first of all, right? But two, it's an exit strategy, right? Okay. It almost time boxes you and says like, I'm gonna try to light this thing up, and if I'm successful, this will happen. If I'm unsuccessful, this will happen. And the risk and the reward is like crazy polarizing, right? So like when you raise capital from outside investors, 70% of investments from venture capitalists, like those companies fail.
Yeah.
They go to zero or sell for nothing. And so you're gambling on yourself super hard. And the VCs are hoping that you 10X.
Right.
So to take your family business that is perhaps profitable, cash flowing, opening up your home, and saying, all right, let's dump some gas and light this thing up. I don't know why it was a good idea, but that's where I'm at right now.
Still trying to figure that side
I think
out.
that's the question. Is it a good idea?
Well, that's
so
a
far?
good perspective, though.
Yeah.
That's the perspective,
yeah.
right? And so there's you know, when we saw this NIL thing, we're like, we have a small window of time here to get a first mover advantage.
I agree with you on that.
Because if we don't, someone else will.
Yes.
So we're like, okay, we have to go, and if we're gonna go, we got to go hard and quick. And so that's why someone told me, like, you need a strategic investor. You should just get Mark Cuban.
Right.
That's how we became venture backed. Is I emailed him, he invested in us.
Cold email.
Cold email.
That's crazy.
Yo, I'm Steven. Here's my idea.
He actually, I actually in my cold email, I forgot to ask him anything. He's like, "Why are you emailing me to brag?" But he did write us a check, and now I was a venture-backed company. Now you're on a new trajectory.
Yeah.
Right. And so
Now you got something to prove. You have to make sure that you're lighting the gas. You're putting the gas on.
yeah, because the only way Mark makes money is if our company sells.
Right. He's not just giving money away.
He's not giving money away.
Yeah.
So is it a good idea? It's a scary and dangerous idea. It's not for everyone. And if you have a business that's opening up your home, making you money, cash flowing, right? Why do you want to do that? So I don't know.
TBD.
The next couple of years would be really interesting.
Yeah.
Through this journey, I mean, I have a good idea what you guys have done so far. You were able to sign all of these college students. You're building stores. Is there another like big giant leap? Is there retail in play? Like what is that next big thing that you're like, okay, we achieved this. Yeah, sure, we're working on engineering and finance and the things that I think that probably I'm thinking about, but more on what's the next big leap there?
Right. So in the sports licensing space, it's like stuck in the Stone Ages.
Yeah.
In your world, it's 2023, right? In sports licensing, it's like 1980. I mean, people write POs with paper. They go to trade shows, bookstores. They buy inventory.
Bookstores.
Yeah.
Dude, the bookstore business is huge.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. I went to a Barnes and Noble in Oak Brook, and it was slammed.
And
And
it's
I
always
waited
slammed.
45 minutes to buy a book that I literally could.
Well, it was the last book he bought.
Yeah, well, it was like unicorns in some blah blah.
Okay, it's
Just
pretty
like
cool.
back to Amazon.
Okay,
or
okay,
something.
okay.
Yeah.
But I was like, I could have bought this book while I was driving
Yeah.
with my single finger here, But like,
You want to experience.
well, I don't know if I wanted the experience. I don't know. I'm just saying the world still wants the experience.
Yeah, and I think bookstores, I mean, like the same as like resort wear, right?
Yeah.
So for us, we think there's so much waste in that world. And so what we're now doing is, we sell direct online, but we sell into the bookstores and help them hedge their inventory risk. So they don't have to
Got it.
place orders,
Yep.
4 or 5 months in advance. They can use our technology, and they can actually we're actually going to be putting heat presses in bookstores, so they can do it there
On site.
Really?
on site. So they'll be able to, at LSU, they'll take blank jerseys, and then they'll take our jerseys and our transfers,
Put the name.
and then our system will pay the athlete.
Wow. That's
So
cool.
that's the next level stuff.
Yep.
And then, it's like, what other tech can we provide for the players now that we've got athletes and fans and this engagement? What else can we do?
How about tour? Are you thinking about tour in that way? Like at the game?
Like
venue sales.
So in venue sales
Yeah,
is the same as
in-venue.
bookstore sales. So we sell right into in venue.
Okay, cool.
So in
I love
venue
that.
is owned by a couple huge companies. Like Follett is actually a bookstore
Yeah.
here in Aurora.
Yes.
Huge.
$100 million
Old school.
in venue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Sodexo, right?
Yep.
And then you've got Fanatics, who owns a stake of Barnes and Noble.
Really?
Yep.
Well, I didn't know that.
And Lids. And then you've
Lids,
got
Lids, I knew.
and you got Legends, which is the other
No
one.
Legends.
Yeah, we know Legends.
Those three control every major retail in venue, and so it's just about getting in the right rooms with them and stuff like that. So yeah.
How did you? I was, we shift all over the place. You see,
Sure.
we jump around. How did you get? And maybe this is like part of the larger strategy, but how did you get connected with Bruce? Has that been your like tech kind of partner there, or like what? I know you guys are friends before, but like has that always been kind of like Bruce was always there to help? Bridge the tech side too, or was that your background separately as well?
So we both went to U of I. I think he was like 2 or 3 years older than me. I didn't know him there.
Oh, you didn't? Okay,
No.
all right.
And so when we got out of school, I started at this print shop. We started using their software, and then I started looking him up. I'm like, wait, this guy's like a couple years older than me. He went to U of I, and so I just like messaged him because I didn't know anyone in the printing industry.
Right.
I was like, it's all these old people,
gray-haired.
yeah, right. And so I was like, we just started talking, and he's like, yeah, dude, I only have like 30 or 40 customers. I'm like, oh, okay. And so we would just meet up at Portillo's while he had another job. He was working another job.
Yeah, he was working at that credit card
Avant.
place.
Yeah,
Avant. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Bruce is a good
Monster
guy.
company.
Shout out to Bruce.
Yeah.
shout
And
out.
so, I was like, we just started talking, and we would just meet up, and then he's like, yo, I have to do this trade show thing. Like, you doing anything? And I was like, no, I haven't been to a trade show.
You want to hang?
Yeah. I was like, dude, you're my only friend, I guess. And so we went to Long Beach, the trade show we've all been at.
Yeah.
We set up a booth, and, we've always used their software. And so we've kind of just grown our businesses next to each other.
Interesting.
Look
at you guys now. You're
Yeah.
industry famous.
And how about the podcast? When did that come apart?
So like Bruce, to his credit, right, whether or not people use the software, he's a pretty good content creator.
Yeah.
He does a good
He
job
is.
with content. And
Really
one,
good job.
Consistent.
And one of his whole things very early on was, if I'm going to build software that might not be great to start, I better be putting out content, education, resources. So he would pay me to like write blogs.
Mm-hmm.
They're like the most bogus blogs ever. But we would write like 2 a week.
Blog's a blog.
Where
Right?
was ChatGPT?
Yeah, right.
back
But he's
then?
like, and so we would just like content dump. And he's like, I just need more content. I just need more content. And so we would just start recording stuff, and it just kind of happened naturally. So came out of nothing.
Nice.
But yeah.
Yeah, I want to give both of you guys credit, because back to the gray-haired industry, very old school. I think we had that same mentality when we got in 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's still kind of classic, but it's starting to make a change a little
You're
bit.
gonna be the old guys soon.
Yeah,
Actually,
we
I
sure
think
are.
we're there. I think we're
I mean, here,
we're
here,
definitely the old guys
We're
here.
the uncles around
Yeah.
here. That's for sure.
We'll say things about Seinfeld, and people will look at us like,
Seinfeld.
"What the hell's that?"
What are you talking
So
about?
we know
We're
we've
okay with
crossed the
that.
threshold, but I think you guys have done a good job in taking this classic industry, bringing new content, bringing new life to it. Anyone out there making noise, or any things happening in our industry that you think are like, okay, finally there's some movement happening here. Things are changing. Anything that stands out to you?
You guys buying DTGs anytime soon, or?
Not really. No.
Yeah.
I mean,
or like I'm still trying to figure out what DTF is.
Yeah.
Myself.
Well,
you
he's
know?
this is the.
I know, he's the
break
he's
it
the
down for
DTF.
us.
You're,
this is
you're
the
gonna
DTF
start
key.
DTF dads.
Yeah.
DTFdads.com. That'll
Yeah,
be your
we
side
should,
hustle.
yeah.
Hey, I'm done.
Yeah, I think direct to film is kind of starting. We're heat transferring a bunch more.
Yeah.
I think
Is the machinery getting better? I know
No.
that was challenging. I know that was your challenge.
That still needs to
Oh, you
evolve
still
a little
believe in
bit.
it. I know.
Oh
that.
yeah, I mean it's all of our NIL on demand. Like we do jerseys, so you can't DTG on a jersey.
No.
And so these machines are pretty cheap. They're awfully built. They suck, but when they work, they rock. And so I think the industry is catching up a little bit, but it's allowed us to do on-demand decoration at a pretty low cost with pretty good quality. What do you guys think of transfers?
We're into
we like
transfers.
transfers.
We like transfers.
We like Supercolor. We just had Jenna from Stalls on,
Gotcha.
on the last episode, which is
Yeah.
cool. Like, to me, it's like, why not just order from them, right?
Well, so for us, we have to do single piece customization.
So there's
Okay,
no-
so it's a one-off.
name
Okay.
and numbers, right? And so when orders come in online, number 3's going out with this character and this is coming out. So we used Supercolor and and all those companies for a very long time until we were just like, wait, we got to try to bring this in house. And I think what's crazy is there's people that want to get into merch, and so they buy a DTF and then they throw it away.
Kind of like that. What's that press? What are they? Riley Hopkins or something?
Yeah.
The first one that they get.
So it's like, wait, like I should just focus on sales, start my brand, and like let experts actually do it. And so it's dangerous because it's almost like tricking people into thinking they can start lines, and those machines are super hard to use.
There's some limitations.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're ready. I mean, it's made for our business, but I tell people all the time, like, don't buy one right now.
Right.
You're not ready for it.
What I like about all that stuff, though, it's like, it may not be for our industry. You know, for us, it's volume. I mean, thousands and thousands of pieces. That's the way we run. But there's so many different ways to win in this industry.
Right.
So many different ways. And so I feel like DTF or digital or all those different avenues for revenue, that there's a way to win.
For you guys, have you seen it in like, because you guys do, I mean, the type of printing you guys do is like just on another level.
Photorealistic stuff. It's
Yeah.
always a picture.
Are you
16
are you
colors.
using it for like the crazy print look? Because I know you got like, I think I got a hat at a concert that I was at, and it was like a print under the brim of the hat,
Yeah.
or like a mark on the top.
Using
Is
transfers.
that
As a
transfers?
transfer.
Yeah.
Well, there are, like, we did, I think I could talk about this artist now because it was a couple of years ago, but it was The Weeknd. We did the Weeknd tour. The entire product line, I think there was 14 different designs. He wanted to transfer on every single position. Even a white, one color white on the front that said The Weeknd.
When it's
he wanted
super
to transfer.
heavy.
So that's why we have like 30 heat press machines back there for that one project, you know? So I don't know. I think some artists or some clients might like that urban heavy feel, and they liked it. So we're seeing more artists ask for it. But we talked on the last pod, like we're doing a lot of rhinestones and specialty stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
Back. The bling bling is back.
It's back. Whether we like it or not, it is back.
merch is now, it's truly becoming a collectible.
That's your word, man.
That was actually.
He loves that word.
You perfectly led me down.
That's a sound clip,
path.
Michelle.
Yeah. I did
Clip
not
it.
just
Clip it.
slip you like a little note here,
Nothing.
but like.
Yeah.
So that's what I was going to talk about next is how do you see the industry again? Like, you know, most of our audience is somebody who resells, the actual product. How do you see collectibles? How do you see the industry? I know you're in on the fanatic side, experiential side. Like, where is it going?
Well, I think, there's so much crap out there of like crap merch that I think, maybe this is because of COVID or something like that, but I think when you actually buy something, you want to find like what's special about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think we're seeing that more and more every day is like what makes this slightly more unique or different or elevated or exclusive or limited. And it goes back to like giving a kid a Pokemon card. It's that same emotional like reaction that's happening. And now we're taking merchandise and we're doing it with that. So, I think I'm happy to see it happening, right? Because it elevates what we put on every day. And you guys probably heard this. Our T-shirts are our personal billboards, like, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I feel like we're seeing a shift in making more thoughtful, curated merchandise rather than a crappy shirt.
Yeah.
And I think our customers or end users like it more. Like,
Agreed.
do you get customers that, like, when you place a customer into something much nicer and you're like, just trust me, you're going to like it. And then they're like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I think customers are starting to get that. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, on that side, I know a lot of people are working on in-venue faster, right? Like,
Okay.
Checkout.
like the ability, I know a lot of people are working on the ability to make product more available.
Okay.
And I don't necessarily know if that's a net positive thing. I agree with what you were saying, like a great product, one that is exclusive, one that you could call a collectible. If you could go on Cafe Press and order it, it's not a collectible.
Correct.
Right? Like if it exists everywhere, if you could buy it in Walmart, it's not a collectible.
Right.
And there's a place for that product, I'm sure. Costco, I believe, is the
Consumerism.
largest seller of apparel in the world, something like
Wow.
that. I don't know, something to that tune somebody told us. But with the merch that we're making, especially if it's a higher end product, like you said, and it's harder to get, we see that, really being part of the future. Not necessarily, dropping a drone and be able to get the product at all times.
Yeah.
Or if you could drop the drone, it's a limited amount of them. So
Yeah.
you have to run out and get it right away.
Yeah. So what are you seeing? Are you seeing people flood the industry and oversaturate it? Like, what are you guys seeing? Because like at the shows that when I sometimes know what you guys are, you'll tell me what you're printing. If I'm going to that show, I'll usually grab it, and it's usually trying to convince my wife to want to stay in the merch line. Right?
Yeah.
Are you seeing? Because you guys have mastered this. Like, this is your craft, and I think you cater. You know how to tell your customers, "Whoa, do it this way. No, do it that way." Are you seeing other competitors come in and oversaturate it and dilute it and like messing it up?
I don't know if I'm seeing that.
Yeah,
But
so-
I do see that, like to your point, when you go to the merch booth and the line is wrapped around the stadium, this shows that fans really care right now. And check out the reviews sometimes. Like, fans care so much right now because they're spending so much more money. I mean, some of the stuff that we do, you'll go out there and you'll see that they're selling it for, there's a hoodie for $120 they're selling. There's no longer a $45 hood. It's a $120 hood.
Yeah.
People are paying more now post-COVID for events,
Right.
and they're actually valuing it there. And when they're there, like, what are you going to spend $500 on a ticket and not get a $50 or $100
Not
shirt?
get a badass hood.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a badass hood.
A beer is
it's got-
$38.
Yeah,
So what's
exactly.
the
Right?
difference?
Like-
So fans care, man, and because they're so connected to the artist that they'll give you like real feedback, and they'll pick this thing apart, and they'll say this is not the quality that we thought, or they'll say that we think this is a transfer and it's not a screen print. Like they all become professionals all of a sudden. Like, everyone is a professional. So yeah, I think like the fan really is looking to maybe buy less units, but they're going to spend more on one piece.
So wait, I have a question. When you see crazy lines at the United Center, does that make you happy, or are you like, oh man, they need to fix their shit so they can get more product out? Or do you like I've heard different theories.
Yeah.
What do you guys see?
There's a nightclub theory a little bit, and that's
Yeah.
our
Right?
background.
Hold the line.
Right? Like,
Hold
hold
the
the
line.
line. Yeah. Like, there's like, I think there's some level of, if something is in high demand, or you create that demand first and foremost, you don't want to overproduce or make it too easy to get it. I'm never bought anything from Hermes, but that's my understanding, that you can't even walk into the store. Like, that building that exclusivity is important, but also applying technology and thinking through the experiential part. It shouldn't be a horrible experience either.
Right.
So I think there's a sweet spot somewhere in the middle, because at the end of the day, we want to run our presses.
Yeah.
Of course, we want to make more product.
Right.
We may just not want to make so much that no one wants it anymore.
And I think that's one of the most mature things someone can do when they're building a brand, is to actually like gate it a little bit.
Yeah,
it's
Because
tough. Yeah.
I would think other people like, let's get more shirts out there. Let's do it. And you're like, no, actually stop.
Yep.
That's good.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
exclusive drop is a game changer, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
It's
When you have a
like-
line of people that still want to buy, and you tell
Yeah.
them no, it's out.
Yeah.
Takes some discipline to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's good for the resale market too. I mean, some of those
Yeah.
Kanye shirts that we did, you go on StockX and they're selling those things for $700 a pop. It's
crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah.
It's really-
Well, one thing I know, we got to wrap up soon. You got a meeting to go to. I wanted to give you, it's kind of like a shout out, but also to show that some of the things that you guys do, even on your pod, adds value. I know when I get value from something, it's because I go out and I preach it to my team. So I'm like, there's something good here. So we did our offsite yesterday.
Oh, snap.
We did an offsite, yeah. And as I was driving into the city to do the offsite, I was listening to your pod.
Dang.
And something stuck with me, and I've already used it like 10 times with my team. So I wanted to put it out here so maybe someone else can get some value from it. But you were mentioning that whoever the speaker was at that event, that
We had
There's
one of our investors actually came, and then we had some different people on our team.
one of the
but
guys,
yeah.
you mentioned that one of the stories that he told was he submitted a photography to Allo or Bella or something. They asked him to submit one photo. He was trying to get picked up as a
Oh,
photographer.
Nigel Barker's
Nigel,
talk.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so he
Okay,
said,
okay.
so the ask was submit one photo, maybe we'll put you in. But he came back and he submitted 16. And I actually talked about this in our offsite, because I was like, that was us year 1, year 2. And now I'm over here, if someone asks me for one, I give them one. So I brought my team together and I was like, we're working with a client right now. They want to do samples. And so instead of just doing for the sample that they asked in the technique that they wanted, let's do it 3 different ways. Let's win. Let's help this client win. And I took that away and I've used it 4 times already. So I don't know if there's anything else.
No, so at Print Hustlers,
yeah.
Nigel Barker is like a world-renowned photographer and an amazing entrepreneur. He was the judge from America's Next Top Model.
Right.
Okay.
I didn't know this until my wife told me and said,
Yeah.
Nigel Barker's speaking. And I
Rich
was like,
watches that. So
Yeah, hell yeah, I watched that. You know, I like Pretty Girls. What are you
yeah,
talking
but he
about?
was talking about early as a photographer grinding. Like he was a model first, and then he tried to be a photographer very early on. And so he's like, there were so many other photographers out there. I got one shot, and with that shot, I was like, they're gonna see the most beautiful arrangement of everything. I'm gonna take the assignment and go above and beyond, and I'm gonna show them what I'm capable of, right? And I think to anyone out there, like that is just there's no surprise that he's, runs $100 million companies now, right? And for employees, like, isn't that fun when employees go above and beyond? Isn't that the best feeling?
Incredible.
Yeah. You get knocked right off your chair.
Yeah, like,
You're
whoa.
like, oh snap, thanks.
Wow.
Yeah. And so like, yeah, that's the world we live in now, is like you got to do that. That's the new standard.
Sometimes you just need a reminder to go back to that day one grit and submit 16, not just 1.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's the takeaway for everyone that's listening. Is like, if you have an opportunity, don't just submit 1, go back with 16.
Yeah.
And wow the customer.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thanks, man. Yeah,
we
I
appreciate
think we could actually go all day. So we'll have to have this a habit. Maybe we bring Bruce in.
Yeah, let's get the
you
homie
know?
Bruce in.
Get Bruce in. He's just he's probably going surfing right now.
Oh,
and,
nice. Tough
bless.
life.
Tough
you
life he lives.
Yeah, I feel really
Feel
bad
real
for
bad
him,
for
so.
Bruce right
Yeah.
now.
So, but we'll get him here. This will be fun.
Awesome. We appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
Sweet.
thank you.
Thanks.